Hello and welcome to Prequel to the Sequel. My name's Dwayne, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you all the books that I read this month. I didn't read that many books overall, but I did read a lot of manga that I had sitting on my shelf. I'm trying to get caught up on all the manga that I have on my shelves before the end of the year. I know it probably won't happen, but based on what I read this month for that, I think I can get a pretty huge dent into it in the next 2 months. So first off, I'll show you the books that I read, and then I'll show you the manga that I read. So I started and I finished American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I really enjoyed this. It was pretty long, but I got through it relatively quickly. When I would sit down to read it, I don't know what it was about it, but I got really into it, and I would read at least 100 pages at a time every time I sat down to read. This was actually for the book club on the BookTube Discord server. This was the first month that we started doing the book club, and this is what we all voted on. It was on most of our shelves already, and we just hadn't picked it up, so I feel like that's why we all read it. But I plan on doing a full review of this book pretty soon, so look forward to that. Next up, I have The Shadow Rising, which is the fourth book in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. I didn't really read that much in this, maybe 20 pages or so. As you can tell, I don't have that much left in the book. I don't know what it is about this one, but I just do not like this one. It's been pretty hard for me to get through, but since I'm pretty close to doing it, I will definitely finish it soon, and I will update you on that as soon as I finish. Next up, I have The Grace of Kings, which is the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty series, and it's by Ken Liu. I'm still really enjoying this. I just kind of had it on the back burner since I was reading American Gods. That was my main focus this month. I think I'm about halfway through it, and I actually plan on finishing this month. Next, I'll be moving on to the manga that I read this month. I actually read 19 volumes. Which is a lot more than I would normally read. I'm just really trying to crack down and read as much of the manga that I own by the end of the year. So without further ado, I'll just start with this. I read Welcome to the NHK Volume 4. There are only 8 of these, and that's the entire series. I own the first 4. I don't know what it was about the series. I just did not really like it that much. For the first 3 volumes or so, it was okay. It's just, it's a little weird. I can't really describe it, but it's not your typical, action story or anything. So it's just, it's kind of bland to me in that sense. But I don't know what it was about this volume. But it really made me want to pick up the 5th one. And I know these are really hard to find, unless you just get lucky and walk into a used bookstore and find it like I did the first 4. But as soon as I see the 5th volume, I'm going to pick it up. Next, I read High School of the Dead, volumes 5, 6, and 7. That's actually all that's out in the United States and Japan. These volumes cover up to chapter 29 in the series, and there are only 30 chapters out. And I highly doubt that the series is going to be ever finished, because chapter 30 is not the end of the series. The guy who was writing it actually died, I think, earlier this year, and I don't think anybody else is going to pick it up and finish it, unfortunately. So there's one more chapter out, so chapter 30. So I plan on, in the month of November, reading chapter 30 online, just so that I can say I've read all that got released. So next, I have Citrus, Volume 3, which is the last volume that I own. I think they're up to maybe Volume 6 here in the States. It's just a really cute lesbian manga. It's kind of weird if you're not used to this sort of thing. It's actually 2 stepsisters who are falling in love with each other. It's a basic romance plot, and to me anyways. I haven't read that much romance, so I could be wrong. But I actually really like this series, and I will definitely continue reading it. Then next, I have Infinity Force Volume 1. Uh, I haven't actually seen this anywhere else besides Barnes & Noble where I bought it. I actually went in Books A Million last night and looked for it, and I didn't see any volumes. So I'm not sure if maybe it's just in select locations. But it's basically this girl, the main character right here, gets a magic pencil that allows her to make anything become real that she draws, and somehow she's in this place that's going to get robbed, and she draws these four superheroes, and they come to our world from the fictional world, and they're all well-known superheroes in Japan, at least. It's Gatchaman, Tekkaman, Cashin, and Polymer. And I believe in the next few volumes there will be more heroes coming. I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know if Volume 2 is out yet. And I know they have an anime for this, which isn't available on any streaming platforms that I've seen until recently. I found a new place where you can watch like TV shows and movies for free. And this show is actually on there, so I will probably start that just to see if it gets better, because I didn't really like it like I thought I would. I would definitely pick up at least the next volume to see if I wanted to just drop it or keep reading. But as for now, I didn't really enjoy it that much. Next up, I read Monsterman Buraiko Lullaby, and this was complete trash. All I have to say about it. Absolutely horrible. I don't even want to describe what was in this book. If you want to know, you can just Google search and look up images, and you'll know exactly why I said it was trash. And next, I started 4 new series. First off, I started Spirits and Cat Ears, Volume 1. This is my fiance's. She actually owns the first 3 volumes. I believe that's all that's out. Maybe the 4th volume's out now. But I found all 3 of them for her used for $6 each, and they all came out this year. And they look like they're in brand new condition. Basically, it's the story of this girl right here. She wants to become a priestess, which are these girls who exorcise demons or get rid of bad spirits. And what they do to accomplish that is use these familiars. Each priestess has her own familiar, which is, at least so far, always a boy. They look like they're men, or adults, I should say. I don't know if they would change it up and make one a woman. That would definitely make things more interesting. But I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this, so at least I have the 2nd and 3rd volume to see if it will change my opinion and make me want to read more. But as for the next series I started, which is The Other Side of Secret, the story wasn't really anything special. It did have a lot of gory and violent action scenes, which definitely makes me want to at least pick up the next volume. This is also from my fiance's. Then next I have The Testament of Sister New Devil Volume 1, which is also my fiance's. And I didn't really like this. She probably will. So if she gets more volumes, I will definitely end up reading them just because they're sitting here at on the bookshelf. And then next I started The Flowers of Evil Volume 1 by Shuzo Oshimi. And I've been wanting to read this series for a while. And I actually found out, I believe yesterday, that they're re-releasing these in 3-in-1 omnibus editions. The first one's actually out. I found it at Books A Million last night, but I didn't buy it yet. I believe it was like $22, $23, which is a fairly good price considering this one's $11, so you're saving basically the equivalent of buying one volume. But I would definitely be picking those up and selling this back to a used bookstore, just because it'll be easier to get these newer editions, because this is put out by Vertical Comics, and Vertical stuff is very hard to find if you don't get it as soon as it comes out. And this is definitely not the normal kind of manga story that I would ever read, but I actually really like this. It tells the story of a boy who, I think they're in middle school. Not entirely sure. You can never really tell unless they actually mention what grade or elementary, middle, or high school, if they ever mention that. But he has a crush on this girl in his class, and one day she leaves her gym clothes in the classroom by accident, and he ends up taking them home and keeping them, and then everybody in the class finds out that the clothes are stolen, but they don't know who did it. And there's actually one girl who is sort of the outcast, at least in the classroom. I would assume in the entire school, since you never see her with any other kids. But she knows that the main character took the clothes, and she makes him become her servant and do anything that she tells him to. And if he refuses, she will tell everybody that he took the gym clothes. It sounds pretty cliche to me at that point, but I've heard it gets pretty crazy around volume 3, or like right after volume 3. It's only like a 13 volume series anyway, so I would finish it. Plus, the artwork looks really nice. It's not like your typical artwork. It's not even the typical artwork I have seen from Shuzo Oshimi. But like right here, here's a good example. Like the line work is pretty nice. His line work in his newer stuff is like 10 times better than that, though. He uses shading everywhere. But this moved really quickly for me. I read this in one sitting, and I definitely want to read more, so I will be picking up the omnibus editions as they come out. Now, next up, I actually read all of Akame ga Kill Zero that I own, which is volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. The reason that we own these, they're my fiance's, by the way. We both really enjoyed the anime series Akame ga Kill, and we own a lot of the volumes for the main series. And this is just a prequel series. But I've read pretty much all of these within 2 weeks. I know the 3rd and 4th volume I read one day, and I read the other one the very next day, because the action scenes in this are really well drawn, and they really gripped me and made me want to read more, and I definitely want to go pick up more of these as soon as possible. And then I ended up reading some more of my Naruto collection. I read volume 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I own volumes 1 through 15 of Naruto. I bought them all used because it's hard to find them new anymore. For instance, I walked into Books A Million last night and just glanced at the Naruto. They have like the first 3-4 volumes, and then they jump straight to like volume 38, and they have like 4 more. So it's pretty hard to find it now. I think mainly because the series is finished now, and not that many people are going out of their way to buy it, and if they are, it's just going to be online mainly. And I don't know why I put off reading the series for so long. I've owned these, I believe, for almost a year. But I've been wanting to get into Naruto for a long time, a few years. and I always thought that I would not like it. And when I finished Volume 2, I didn't really like the series that much, which is why it took me so long to pick up Volume 3 and read it. I went like 4 or 5 months in between reading Volume 2 to start 3 this month. But that was everything that I read this month. If you like this video or want to ask any questions about any of the books I read, or if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in the video today, leave a comment down below and like and subscribe to see more. Thank you.